The first year I got in with this company, we only had a couple locations, and I love sales. It's all I've ever done, and it's all I ever will do. And I flew around there with my head cut off, selling everything I could and taking care of our customers. And as we grew, I realized that I wasn't good enough to sell my way out of 10 or 15 or 20 stores problems. And so I had to start to learn how to be a leader and how to get folks to buy into the message that we're trying to deliver. And that was a difficult transition.
Welcome to the Gain Traction Podcast, the official podcast for tire business. I am Mike Edge, your host, and I have the privilege of interviewing the tire dealers, shop owners, counter sales reps, technicians, industry executives, and other thought leaders of our industry. This episode is brought to you by Tread Partners. Tread Partners is the leading digital marketing agency that specializes in digital marketing for multi-location tire and auto repair shops. Tread Partners works with clients that have hundreds of locations down to 5 locations. Get a professional, unbiased opinion and let Tread Partners review what you're doing. It starts with a simple conversation. To contact Tread Partners, visit treadpartners.com. So let's get started. Hey folks, welcome to the Gain Traction Podcast, the official podcast for tire business. We have Tyler Paparello, Chief Operating Officer for AMG, which owns 28 Midas stores in the New England area. Tyler, welcome to the Gain Traction Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Excited to be on.
Yeah, glad to have you here. Glad you originally reached out. I think I've talked to you a couple times now, and you got a really cool story. But in the 10,000 foot view, just to give the audience a little bit about who you are and how you got over to Midas, and and then the operations of running 28 stores. What'd you do before this?
Yeah, so my first job as a kid was, Jiffy Lube changing oil. And, I kind of worked my way upstairs and I think it was the service writer called out sick or something. And so I went up there and the manager's like, "Hey, could you sell?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And we actually did really well that day. And, at the time, I mean, this was way back when I was making, $7.40 an hour or something. And
killing it.
Yeah, killing it, right. They gave me a couple $1 an hour raise, and I said, okay, so this is where the money is, right? So from there, I just, I sold just about anything you could sell: sunglasses, office equipment, went into telecom, and kind of found my way back into this industry. And I've tried to take just about everything I've learned from working for some really great companies, kind of amalgamate that all together into what we're doing now. And it's worked out really well. We got a great team and we're doing a lot of good things, I believe. So
that's awesome. What would you say is the most important thing that you learned along the way? If you could say, one thing that stood out to you, or like a quote or a mantra that you kind of live by, what would it be?
Yeah. So, I mean, my mantra is, it was kind of my senior quote in high school. If winning doesn't matter, why do they keep score? Which is Vince Lombardi. Right. And,
yep.
I think, you really gotta, they call it inspect what you expect. And you've got to measure what success looks like. You have to know what it looks like. And as far as one of the things I've learned along the way, process, I've always kind of been, a lot of times in the industry, you find like the best salespeople, they're usually hurricanes and, the gunslingers, if you will. And I think that process is really what I learned. Process is so important in how you do things, because this business truly is just law of averages and a good attitude,
Yeah.
So in my opinion, it's no different than fixing a car. Some of the best diagnostic technicians we work with, they have the same exact approach in how they fix a car. And yeah, the information is going to be different, but ultimately, your process in the diagnostic procedure is going to be the same.
Yeah. And I think it's part of that process of in sales. I think, unfortunately, salespeople could get a bad rep because of the bad apples that represent us in the industry in some ways. But the reality is the best sales reps are the most honest. I mean, almost brutally honest, and it's almost like, man, it could come off like a jerk because it looks like he didn't care what he says, but he did tell me the truth, right? And I think that's contagious for like, especially in this industry, if people know, first of all, you and I have talked about this before. No one wakes up and goes, "Man, I get to go buy some tires today. Cannot wait." Or they say, "Man, I can't wait to go get my engine fixed or my brakes repaired," whatever, it just doesn't happen, and I think our job when you're in the shop, it's to build goodwill with a little bit of joy because they don't have joy right now, right? So you're trying to, hey, I'm gonna make this as easy as possible, right? And I'm gonna tell you all I have. I'm gonna tell you the truth. That's all I can do, you know. And I was gonna ask you this: do you guys do DVI?
We do. Yeah, we
Oh,
do.
that's awesome. That's awesome. I would say that that's helped you a lot, hasn't it?
It really, really has, you know, and I think the folks that do the best with it, and we do a really, really great job. We have a director of service that did a phenomenal job rolling this thing out, and you know, we have between 80 and 90% adoption on it at this point. And but man, the guys that really understand, they get that you're telling a story, right? So it's not just about, hey, I got to take a picture of this air filter because that's what the system's asking me for. You know, it's the real DVI. It almost sells itself, and I'm just like, I can't wait to show them. I'm like, here, look at this tablet for me. You know,
Yeah.
if it's done properly. So yeah, it's great. It's a great product.
Man, you made me think of a funny story. I've got to tell you this story. This guy's passed on now, but he used to work in an Express Lube that when Express Lubes just really kind of came out in the late 80s, early 90s or whatever. And I knew the owner, and I would go, and me and this guy that he had a technician that worked in the, you know, in one of the bays, he's just a fun loving guy. I mean, you know, just, we had a good time. We could tell jokes and stuff. So the owner knew me well enough that he let me out in the bay, and I'd hang out with this guy while he was doing my car or whatever. One time I wasn't in the, I didn't go out to the bay, but I was sitting in the little waiting area, and they were packed. They had a line of cars, and they were just popping them out, you know. Well, every seat's taken. I think, yeah, every seat's taken, and there's probably about 12 seats in there. And there's this lady right beside me, and he comes through, and he's holding an air filter, you know, and it's her air filter, and he goes, Mrs. Parker or something like that. He goes, Mrs. Parker. And she goes, that's me. And he goes, this is your air filter. He said, would you like us to change it out for you? It's dirty. And this woman's on her own, right? So she doesn't know what to do. And she just kind of looks around like for help. And she goes, I'm not sure what should I do, you know? And I'm right beside her, and I go, oh, I said, that's the one he pulls off the shelf. He shows everybody that one. And oh, dude, you should have seen his face.
Oh man,
Dude, I thought he wanted to kill me, right? And he's sitting there, and he was just like, his eyes, he was just like, are you know what? And I'm like, I'm just kidding. I said, he's trying to help you out. I said, go get your air filter changed. And she goes, okay, I'll get it changed or whatever. And then he looks at me and shakes his head. But man, it was one of the best. I don't know. I love, if you knew this guy, his name was, this is perfect too. His name was Jimbo. And
I love that.
Yeah. And he's just a character, but I got him, and getting him was a big deal. And I had a lot of fun doing that one.
Oh, you know what though? If you think about it, Mike, the fact that this customer, you know, this person is coming out there. I trust you to do my oil change on my car, but when you bring out an air filter to me, you know, I'm looking around for someone, and she trusted your advice. She doesn't know you from a hole in the wall.
I know.
That's how bad of a reputation our industry has.
That's a great, I never looked at it that way, but you're right. She trusted me because I'm sitting next to her like, what should I do? As if I would know, right? I did know, but I'm at the same time, it's like, you don't know me.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
But she did. It's not him, but she looked at one of her fellow, you know, customers, I guess.
Right. Not the guy with a uniform on that says automotive service professional, but the guy sitting next to you that's there because they want somebody else to do the service too. And like you said, she doesn't know that you know your stuff, right? But yeah, that's crazy. It blows my mind.
That's interesting. You know, well, it's the same way with the reviews online, right? I mean, I laugh about that sometime. I go, well, I don't know you guys, but you've sold me. I'm going to go do what you said that you enjoyed or whatever. You know, if you said this restaurant's good. Now, obviously it does make a difference if someone, if a shop or particularly a restaurant has over 1,000 views or reviews, then you're like, okay, I'm going to give a little more credence to that one. But, you know, when it's only like 10 or 20 reviews and, you know, you got a couple negatives in there, or I'll tell you the one, if you got too few, let's say you only have 20 reviews, but you have all 5 stars, it makes me a little nervous there too, because it looks like it's a setup. You know what I mean?
That's true. That is true. Yeah. Google's become, you know, almost like, this is probably a bad example, but almost like the stock market. It's not the actual result of the Google review is your customer's perception of it. And so, we
Golly, that's so well said.
yeah. So we track net promoter score, and what I love about net promoter score is you can't fake it, man. You can't. With a Google review, it's a great product, it really is. But you're like, hey, if you had a good experience, can you leave me a 5-star with net promoter score? It's based on your experience today. How likely are you to recommend, Midas of blank, right?
Yeah.
And you're getting real feedback from these folks, and some of it's ugly, and then
Yeah.
you have an idea of what you got to work on and how you want to get better,
Yeah. Well, listen,
So
I believe in the review process, but I think I think we all know that you still have to reply to the negative ones. I mean, you always do, and it's good to say thank you to the positive ones. But the reality is, there are people that are just have ill will, and they're always going to find something wrong, and they're always going to be negative. And I always appreciate, you can tell when someone's not sincere. Like if someone in your position were to come online and say, hey, I respect your opinion on what happened. I want to know more about it. Can we take the conversation offline? I always have great respect for companies that do that. But then when that person keeps going online, like they're going to try to stick it to you, it's just like, yeah, I don't think you're sincere about, solving your problem.
you're 100% right. And the last thing, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but I love this topic, Mike. When I teach about NPS, I tell our folks, the net promoter score, the way it works is if you get a 10 or a 9, they're a promoter. These are folks that'll say, go see Mike. He's the man, right?
Yeah.
If you get an 8 or a 7, these are folks that'll say, I think of like a gas station. If you go to a gas station and as long as they have gas and you got gas, then you're going to give them an 8 or a 7. Anything lower than that, these are detractors. These are people that'll say, do not go see Tyler. That guy's a what, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it, people only leave reviews for one or two reasons. It's either they're really, really happy or they're really, really mad. And I think we're all ticking off the same amount of customers because we have a margin of error. Nobody's perfect. But I think what a lot of shops miss on is they're given kind of 8-level service like a gas station. They're given what the customer expects. And so they believe that only the ticked off people are leaving reviews. But if you wowed your folks, if you really blew their expectations away, you'd have more good surveys. You'd have a real handle, So I know I went on a rant.
No. But
apologize.
I think that's important. I mean, and for our audience, look, we've got a lot of operators like yourself that listen and watch this podcast. So, they pick up on nuggets and they tell me this. And so I think it's important for some of these shop owners. And listen, I know I have a great respect for the ones that are running, the shop themselves and their one-man operations, and they got 1-2 stores. And they're like, man, I wear all the hats. And,
I love that.
This is the last thing I want to do is getting involved with, getting my review system up. But it's important and you got to do it.
Man, that was such a transition for me. The first year I got in with this company, we only had a couple locations. And, I love sales. It's all I've ever done and it's all I ever will do. And I flew around there with my head cut off, selling everything I could and taking care of our customers. And, as we grew, I realized that I wasn't good enough to sell my way out of 10 or 15 or 20 stores problems. And so I had to start to learn, how to be a leader and how to get folks to buy into the message that we're trying to deliver. And, that was a difficult transition, but a very, very valuable one. So I give those folks that are in the trenches every day all the credit in the world. It's my favorite thing to do, but that doesn't make it easy.
No. And I think it's important to have that self-awareness to know, hey, what am I good at, what I'm not. And that the reality is, for some of these guys listening out there, there's a lot of, you can have a small university around you, a community college or whatever. And there's a lot of kids in working on marketing that'll come work for not free, but very inexpensively and get you up and going. I know a lot of people that have, called a college and said, hey, you got any marketing kids that are interested in doing some local this or that or whatever, that just get some things set up for you. I think that's a healthy strategy versus doing nothing.
Oh, it is. Like you just basically said it. Something's better than nothing. And, at this day and age, very rarely are you going to create something that's groundbreaking in an industry. When you make something like AI, you're probably going to be a billionaire, but you could be a millionaire by copycat for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's interesting, but AI, there goes a happy customer, right?
Yeah. Amen. Amen.
Honk if you're happy.
Right now, I see. I do spend time in the trenches, as they say. Right. So
I like it. But I don't know where I was going with that, but I did want to ask you, this is obviously an important topic, but how is tariffs affecting you in your operations?
that's a great question. I think we did a really good job kind of anticipating, some of these things, and I think we're feeling it on the tire side a little bit. And as far as parts, I don't think our shops have felt it too much. On the tire side, if I'm being frank with you, it's the same system, right? And so what we do is, we have our margins that we need to attain so that we can take, good care of our employees, which in turn will take care of our customers, and then they'll bring the business back, right? So, we're kind of plugging these things into systems, and I think perception is reality. And, if you're quoting that set of tires at $800 and it was $600 6 months ago, if you believe that it's more expensive now, then you're going to say, you're going to come in there kind of halfway, and you're going to say, and I know these things are expensive, and you're going to get your customer to believe you that it's expensive. But if you come in there and you say, this is the best deal, this is a great set of tires, your customers are going to buy into that too. And it's just, like I said, perception's reality. So.
No, but that's a great way of presenting it. I mean, and it's not BS. It's just because it's the reality. It's not.
Yep.
No, I'm sorry. You're not selling 6 months ago's tires. You're selling today's tires.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
the reality is today, this is the best price out the available, man. This is a good set of tires.
Yep. It's very true. It's very true. And, I was in the shop a couple days ago. We had a customer, and, I wrote him up for an estimate, and, he was somewhat reluctant. And I said, hey, this is what's going to fix the vehicle. I understand the frustration here. And he said, yes, go ahead, do it. And then, afterwards I'm in the office and I can hear him. And he was like, this is ridiculous. This price is really high. And I'm a pretty transparent guy. So I walk out to him and I say, what do you feel like you want to pay for this thing? And I said, ultimately, I'm going to make sure that when you leave here, you're happy. And we're having a conversation. He's like, well, I get the part, here for this price, and it only would take me a half an hour to do it. And I said, here's the deal. Like I said, when you leave, I'm going to make sure that you're happy. All I'm hoping for is that you understand, if you buy a steak at the grocery store, that you're going to pay a lot more at Ruth's Chris than you would at the grocery store. And I said, but again, I want to make sure that you're happy. And I think we gave that guy maybe half off. We saved him $250, but that $250, it doesn't even matter. What matters is, does that guy leave here saying that he had a really good experience at Midas? Or does he leave here saying, don't go there, they're going to rake you over the coals?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think tariffs affect customer service, I guess is what I'm getting at.
No, and look, sometimes making a deal like that is just like the best marketing dollar you can spend.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. We say, hey, I'm buying your business today. Just do me a favor. Don't go sharing this with everybody. You're going to put me under here. And we joke around with them a little bit, but they, they know they got the deal today and they're appreciative of it.
Hey, you told me a story about a guy that sold for you guys. I think this is classic. Would you share that again?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. So, had a kid, hired him out of an Audi dealership, and arguably one of the best sales guys I've ever worked with.
You guys hired him from the dealership.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
He was getting tired of the longer hours, and as soon as I met him, you just know, when someone has that the gift, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And super charismatic, great presence, but he's a younger kid, So we hire him, I'm training him up, and he takes it and runs with it. He starts doing really well right away. And that's usually one of the indicators that you got yourself a good person, right? Immediate impact in sales. So he gets, an elderly gentleman comes in and shopping for a set of tires. I think he had a Buick. And, I wrote up the RO for this younger hire here. I think we priced out like the Mac Daddy tires, some Goodyear weather readies, really good tires, alignment, road hazard, all this stuff, right? And he quotes them out, and he was like, Mr. Customer, it's going to be 1,100. I think it was 1,100. And this poor gentleman almost fell over. He's like, 1,100 for tires? No, that's ridiculous. Last time I bought tires, they were 600. And without missing a beat, man, this kid goes, Mr. Customer, this very well may be the last set of tires that you ever buy. Don't you want to make sure that the vehicle rides the way it's supposed to? And, I'm listening to him and I almost fell
Yeah.
over, right? My eyes are wide. And this guy steps back for a second and I come swinging around the counter because I'm going to go, I'm like, I'm ready to save this customer. And this guy goes, you know what? You're probably right. He goes, go ahead and get it done. And I was just like, what? Just
Listen,
blown away.
But here's the thing. As crazy as that sounds, and it is one of the best sales stories I've ever heard because, but your guy, he was really telling the truth. And that's what I mean about being brutally honest. Like he knows he's dealing with an elderly man, but he throws that in the equation and it actually worked.
I'm wrapping my head around it to this day. Right. But where's that money going to go? If you got it in your bank account and you want a good riding vehicle, who cares? Who cares?
But the fact that young man picked up on that and then had the guts, I don't know if you can get me there, the guts to say that, because like your response is you think you got to come back and you're going to have to save this situation. Like you could probably picture the guy going, what the hell are you talking about, boy?
Right. I was ready. This guy, I was like, this guy's going to take out his boxing gloves. This is going to be it, and he's like, go ahead and get it done. Unbelievable.
That's a great story. I got another question for you. This one it's more personal, but what's your favorite food? Because we talked about this a little bit, but I think I knew the answer, but I want to hear it again and go. I love going down certain like personal rabbit holes. This is one of my favorite topics.
So, being from New England, and I actually live in Connecticut, I'm about 25 minutes from New Haven, which is the self-proclaimed, pizza capital of the United States, right? And I'm here to confirm that for you, Mike. We make the best pizza in the country. And as we've grown to 28 locations, I've been up and down New England, and I can definitively say that there is no pizza better than the ones that you'll find in New Haven. And if anybody wants to challenge me, then please, I'll take you to a great spot in New Haven, and then we'll go out to your neck of the woods and we'll try some pizza. But I'm pretty confident. So I love pizza is the short answer here.
That's awesome. I do too. And I like those unique places that have their own little recipe or whatever, that made them unique. I'm curious, cause I think he's been there a bunch, Dave Portnoy for your all's pizza when he does his pizza reviews.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Are you guys one of the ones that the very few that have a 9, he never gives anybody a 10, but
yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, one of the places in New Haven called Sally's, got one of the 9s that he gave out. Yeah.
That's huge because he is a stickler. Now, granted, okay, it's Dave Portnoy's taste buds versus mine, and it's a subjective opinion. I get it, right. But it is kind of fun that he created this thing because he's got people that are interested. My son follows it. I mean, just for fun, just because it's interesting because. First of all, I mean, we all love pizza, right?
Who doesn't? Right.
I got a good friend of mine that this is probably 10 years ago, but he's in his mid to late 60s now, and he's older than me, but quite a bit. But I remember him saying to me one time.
To make sure you included that,
let me clarify that for the audience here. But anyway, I thought it was interesting because he's an older guy, and the way he admitted, you hear kids and younger people say love pizza and all this stuff, and he was an older guy even at the time. And he goes, "I'll tell you something, I freaking love pizza." And he said, he goes, "Now I might want to change up the flavor," but he said, "I think I could eat pizza every day." And I just thought it was funny hearing it from an older guy that kind of was around when, he was probably, I'm going to say he was in high school when the first pizza places were kind of showing up in small towns,
Right.
ABC City's first pizza place or whatever, in the 1960s. Most of them got their start in the 60s, and anyway, that would have been his time frame or whatever. And I just think it's funny that he admitted it, and he goes, "I could eat pizza every day."
Well, similar to probably every other American family, on a Friday night when my wife and I don't want to cook anymore for that day, we're what do you want to eat? And I swear we'll go, around the world, right? We're like, you want to get some Chinese food? You want to get some Mexican food? We just end up landing on, we're just buy pizza because it's a safe bet and you can never go wrong.
It's safe for everybody in the house. That's the thing. Cause if you, in order to even make it safer, you can divvy up your toppings, right? Half and half, all that stuff. So you get is everybody happy around here? Right.
That's right.
That's funny.
Although today, you got the dairy allergies and the gluten allergies, and you got to be a little more careful these days, I will say. But
I don't know, it's weird. Hey, one more question on business. Where do you guys go from here? Because I failed to mention this, but you guys have grown from 5 stores in 2020 to 28 stores now.
Yeah, 28 stores, and there's more on the way already, brother. And
that's awesome.
So where we go from here is people ask myself all the time and the owner, what's your long-term plan? How many stores? And the answer is always the same: as many as we can, as long as it makes sense. We're going to continue to buy stores that fit within our footprint. And, we haven't talked about airplanes yet, meaning, far enough where you got to fly there. So
yeah,
I think if it's in New England and it's got 6 bays, we're going to look at it.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
I would say the benefit in that too, though, it's also lets your employees know that, hey, you got a career here. This isn't just a position. We don't want you to think of it as just, hey, a portal job or, a temporary opportunity. This is a career, and you have advancement opportunities because you're going to need managers, etc.
You're 100% right. And the last time I pulled the numbers, and this was a couple months ago, but over 70% of our store managers were internally promoted. They started off as service advisors or assistants.
Beautiful.
And we have 6 district managers now. 4 of them have been internally promoted, and the other 2 came on board as part of an acquisition, and they had worked for the previous ownership for many, many years. And, those 2 are great as well. But, like I said, all of them have all been long-term Midas guys. When you promote somebody, I can't remember what the statistic is, but the chances of them leaving is like almost shrunk down to a third. Now, I'm not saying you go handing out promotions like they're candy, but when you promote good people, you're going to keep them. And I've been in situations where I thought I was, ready for more opportunity, and I had a company that didn't, provide that, and I had to go find a different opportunity, right? And I think about that all the time. I never want to hold any of my folks back.
That's a good note to end on, but that's powerful. I don't want to hold anybody back, and if I can, I want to promote you. I mean, and you're proving it when hey, we grow if it makes sense. And making sense is the key. It's not like, hey, we're going to grow just because we want to get bigger. We're going to grow because it makes sense.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Tyler, I tell you what, thank you for being part of the podcast. This has been awesome.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. I thank you so much for having me on, and anything you need, you let me know, Mike.
Absolutely. And I want you to stay in touch. So to all our listeners out there, we love you. Come back, see us. And I do want to encourage you guys, if you have a guest and you think, man, I know this guy in the industry and he would be awesome on the Gain Traction podcast, shoot me an email, please, at mike@treadpartners.com. That's our parent company, Tread Partners, mike@treadpartners.com. But this is for the audience too, just for everybody, just let me know. We take all inquiries serious or recommendations. So we appreciate you. To all our listeners, thank you for being part of the Gain Traction podcast. We are grateful for you. If you'd like to find more podcasts like this, please visit gaintractionpodcast.com. If you'd like to make a guest recommendation, please email me at mike@treadpartners.com. This episode has been powered by Tread Partners, the leader in digital marketing for multi-location tire and auto repair shops. To learn more about Tread Partners, visit treadpartners.com.